Pacific is a bike brand that I haven't shown any love for. My most despised bike was the Pacific Evolution, and I took great joy in seeing it destroyed. And I still have the heart of that frame. And I thought that would be the last Pacific seen on this channel. It's not a brand I see in big box stores often these days. Plus, how could a bike seem more weirdly designed than the Evolution? Or so I thought. Because apparently Pacific has upped their game, because I found this at Redstone Arsenal's post exchange, the Pacific Derby. A bike that clearly has Pacific Evolution roots, but with the addition of a rear suspension shock. So that makes it better, right? Or does that just step up weird to a whole new level? It's confusing for sure, and not just the looks, even the pricing doesn't know what it wants to be. Depending upon which tag I look at, it's either $139.95 or $119. I don't want to prejudge this bike because I've been surprised before, and usually I can find some value if I look hard enough. And I can say that at $119 I see a lot of what I expect, like the quill stem. These are slowly going away, but on these ultra low priced dual suspension bikes, they're a bit of a holdout. There are lots of sacrifices like this that have to be made to keep a specific price point, especially in today's tariff environment. Now there's nothing inherently wrong with a quill setup, but on a bike with a rear suspension it's not really confidence inspiring to see the handlebar held on with a single bolt. The bars and everything on them are very familiar. Cheap rubber grips, twist shifters, these are TD1 twisties. I get flack every now and then for saying cheap looking plastic. People say you can't tell quality by looking. I disagree, especially when it comes to plastics, like on these power brake levers. Functional, but visually not of the highest quality. These work rim brakes, fit to both the front and rear wheels on the Derby. The Pacific brand goes back to 1977, and I'm told that at one point they were, well, above what they are today. And the low-end components continue, like the suspension fork. I've seen this on bikes down to the $59 level. And the wheels, single wall, and the hubs, the most basic type. And these 26 by 1.95 tires, generic cheapies, yes, but I will say that sometimes these super cheap tires can have amazing traction thanks to the soft compound, but they will wear fast. The drivetrain too, functional but cheap, plastic no bushing pedals, thin crank arms, stamped steel triple chain rings, all the usual. The front derailleur is a TD1, the same for the rear, and it has an integrated hanger. The rear gearing is a freewheel, void of branding. This is a steel-framed bike, and 18 speeds for roughly 38 pounds. I know from history to be less than pleasurable on hills, but this bike, at least to me, isn't about gearing or components. It's all about that frame. So freakish. I mean, look at all the tubes. No wonder it's heavy, and I don't understand where they were going design-wise, because even the cable routing doesn't make sense. Cables start on the top of the top tube and then dart into the jumble of steel, running right through the frame's only moving parts. With one cable riding up against the bottom of the seat post, I guess it's a good thing this bike doesn't have hydraulic brakes. And aside from design, the welding doesn't do the frame any favors either. While these should keep this together, they look less like welds and more like caulk that was shot through a toothpaste tube and left to harden. Though I doubt most people are ever going to see the welds because of the frame design, it's a perfect distraction. And in the middle of all this busyness, a coil shock, and curiously, there are no pivot points for the suspension aside from a single down at the bottom bracket. With only one point of movement, I don't see how this suspension can be very effective, but the shock itself has a 750 pound/inch rating. That said, there is movement, so I guess some comfort, though none from this saddle. These are notoriously bad in my opinion. All this being said, I don't want to sound overly harsh because someone somewhere may have a Derby and enjoy it, and that's what counts. Plus, one more bike being made is one more option on the market, always a good thing. And that makes me thankful to see bikes like this exist. Let me end this on a positive note. There's the previously mentioned nostalgia for the Pacific brand. Maybe you had a Pacific as a kid and you want one for old time's sake. So some people may be happy the brand's still out there. And I do like the graphics, not typical big box over the top, and they've cleverly designed the R in Derby to be a horse head. Derby, horse racing, I like the subtle reference. So there, two things positive. In all seriousness, this is a rideable bike, and one thing about both the Evolution and this Derby, certainly unique designs that are going to stand out from other bikes in the neighborhood. And equipment wise, it's not really any better or worse than comparatively priced dual suspension big box bikes. And I want to end this with a question for you, and this is a toughie. If you had to pick either this or the Pacific Evolution, if those were your only two choices, which would it be and why? I'm really looking forward to seeing the responses on this one, so comment below with your answer. Be sure you're subscribed and you have the notification bell active. Also, check the description for links to more KevCentral content. Thanks to everyone for watching, and have a great day.